what I'm realizing is that communication is a relationship. It's so wild. So what I wanted to talk to you about today was your team. And really, you probably think that your team is doing great. How is your team doing?
Seems like it's going okay.
Seems like it's going okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
But I also confess to having moments of wondering, oh my God, does she think I'm doing terribly right now? Does she have judgments about me? I spend time, cycles, we're not fighting, we're getting along, but I have moments of thinking about that.
Okay, got it. So you think you're doing okay or pretty well, and in the back of your mind you're wondering, is this person judging me, or how do they perceive me? Like
yes.
that. Yeah. Yeah. So that's great. I find that teams are in basically one of three places. One, they think they're doing great. Another is kind of the middle ground where you talked about. I think we're doing pretty well, but there's probably room for improvement. Is that where you're at? Yeah. And then the third one is we're not doing well, there's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And I love working with all types of different teams, anywhere in that range, because what I find is if there's a problem, there's a problem. And then it's obvious, you bring someone like me in. If you're in that middle stage, you think you're doing pretty well, but you're not quite sure what the leverage points are that you can pull to take things to the next level, and that's obviously a great win. And then I find with teams that are doing well, or they think they're doing well, there's something that makes a team really great. And you never know if there's something in the dynamic that you can leverage or pull on to take things just way out of the ballpark, so to speak. So that's what I find is that you think that your team is doing well, or wherever you're at, medium. But really, your team, there's so many resources on your team, and if you just communicate, stop holding back, so really just start saying the things that are on your mind, and get out some of those judgments and resentments that may be lingering, then you'll tap into this wellspring of really just potential and juice for your team to really take things to the next level, whatever that means for your team. So what's one thing, say for you, Marcy, you're on a team,
yep.
Right? Okay. So what's one thing that you see in any of those three areas? So communication, holding back, or judgments and resentments that you saw, if that either was or wasn't there, that it would catapult you into the next level.
Yeah, so the example I can think of is I work with a development team right now, and actually I work with all the parts of the company, but the developers in general, and there's a couple of people on my team that are essentially kind of underground quibbling, where they all just come to me and say, so-and-so did this, and I'll either help them resolve it or help them go to the other person on the team and try to say something, but it really doesn't always work, and it feels like they're just kind of in this constant battle over like who's best or who's going to get it their way, and it just feels kind of like an energy drain, and I can't figure out how to solve it.
Okay.
Like, I'd love some more information about that. That'd be magic.
Okay, great. Yeah, it's so interesting. I talk to a lot of team leaders, and it's almost like they're playing mommy or they're playing daddy.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like, she hit me, he hit me, So that's one thing that's an element of a high-performing team, is that essentially the kids or the people on your team can work things out between each other without having to come to you, because it's a drain on you. It's an energy suck, and it's really one of the areas that you want to start to delegate down and have your team start to work out together, because that's exactly one of the areas that I'm talking about of untapped potential. Yeah, that's great. Gosh, it's just so poignant for me because I was just in this really intense situation with my girlfriend, and we ended up actually breaking up on Monday, so a week ago. And so much was coming up for me leading up to that, and I didn't really know what it was until today, when we came back together and we had a third party mediating, and it was so great. Like, it just started to click into place. Like, I had been resenting her for talking with a person that she'd been together with, and so I had some like resentment built up when I saw her talking to him, and there was an element of communication. Like, I was trying to figure it out on my own, and why are things not working, but it was all in my own world over here. So you can see how some of these things relate. It's like my personal life relates to some of the things that you all are experiencing on your team. Started to make up stories about what she was thinking and what she wasn't thinking and what she was doing, her intentions behind it. So these are some of the elements that I start to draw out in the workshops that I do, are really getting people to say those unsaid things. Someone that I respect was talking about, gave an analogy of people playing ping pong, and this is what it's like in your team meetings, right? You're playing ping pong and you're passing off ideas. Hey, what about this? What about that? But really, underneath the table, you're rolling bowling balls, and those are all the unsaid resentments and all the territorialness that's going on, that nobody really wants to bring up in a team meeting. And it may be like this, in your group, and it may not. I mean, that's sort of in the category of things that are really not going well, right? But you can see that things start to go from maybe just some small resentments to the story that builds up, and then you sort of cut that person off if you don't clear the air, and it can really lead down the wrong road. So, any questions that you have, and or comments about the way that your team's performing right now, and what you'd like to see in terms of the impact that something like this could have on your